Hello, I'm Archibald Chesterfield III. Welcome to the Archie Luxury channel. And guys, remember, like, subscribe, and tell your friends about this channel. Now guys, what I want to talk about today is, what I want to talk to the audience about is, can you possibly be a one-watch person? One wristwatch person? And this is quite an interesting debate because I had a really good fan, Igor. I went to see him on the weekend and he had a bit of a dilemma. He had two nice watches. He had an IWC Portuguese chronograph, and he had a Rolex Oyster Perpetual Grape 39mm. Now, the interesting thing is that he said, hey, what do you recommend as one watch? I want one watch which will do absolutely everything. Now, this is a very interesting thing. What do I recommend? What would I say? One watch for life. And I've got to be honest there, different horses for different courses. Somebody who is, say, working in the the tourism industry, as a dive boat operator, they definitely want some sort of diving watch. Whereas somebody who's, say, a pilot or a corporate type, they'd have a different sort of need with the watches. Or they might want the same thing. Now, I want to talk about one wristwatch for life. So what do I honestly feel? Now, the thing is, I am the international YouTube celebrity, so I can't really do the one wristwatch. I gotta have a couple because, you know, what sort of YouTube channel do I run if I only have one watch? I mean, that's pretty crummy. So in my case, my circumstances are different. But say we take a look at, say, a normal person, and if they wanted to have one wristwatch, what would I recommend? One wristwatch recommend. What would I recommend? So that's an interesting thing. What would I say? And I gotta say, firstly, one of the great things about watches is the metal, right? And I gotta tell you, I've owned two-tone, I've owned steel, and I've owned solid gold. And you know, there was an interesting documentary called Time Machines. I don't want to keep harping on about it. Fantastic documentary. One guy had 4 watches. He wanted to compress them into one watch, and he ended up going for a nipple dial solid gold sub. Now, I got to be honest with you. I've owned a blue sub, solid gold, and it really, I just didn't feel it was something you could wear every day. I mean, I love that watch. It was a statement watch. It stood out. It was beautiful, but let's just be realistic. It also had some qualms to it. Like, for example, the one thing about that watch was it was very, very, very soft and very precious. So if you're going to wear that every day, oh, you know, it's not going to stay in pristine, minty condition. So then it leads us to what metal would I recommend, and I think it's really your choice there. But I honestly would say, in my opinion, yes, I don't mind the steel and gold, the two-tone combo meal deal. But I got to be honest with you, I think steel is probably the best metal for a wristwatch. Stainless steel is the best metal to have. Now, if you were having one, what would I say? What one wristwatch would I go for? Now, personally, I think if you were limited to one watch, in my opinion, you'd want it to be waterproof. That's probably the most important characteristic in any watch, waterproofing. The reason I say that is because if you have one watch, you can use it in most occasions. Now, the waterproofing, you may not be diving, but what it means is if you wash your hands and water gets on it, it's not going to get damaged. And that's probably one of the biggest threats to wristwatches over time, is water accidentally getting in. And I would seriously say that this is one of the beautiful things about the Rolex Oyster series. And whether it's a Datejust, whether it's an Explorer 1, Explorer 2, GMT, Submariner, Sea Dweller, Deep Sea, the waterproofing is a wonderful, wonderful thing to have. That really makes a huge difference. So if I had to have one watch, I would want something steel. I would want something waterproof, like an Oyster, a Rolex Oyster. So that's really steering it. Now, you might say, what about the Omega Speedmaster? Man on the moon, man on the moon. Well, that's not waterproof, it's a chronograph. It's a great second watch. It's a great first watch, but it's not a watch I want to keep for it. I want it to be my sole watch. I would really recommend, every man needs a Rolex, and that's the reason I say that. It really should be, every man needs a Rolex Oyster. They need the Cellini isn't the waterproof casing, so it kind of isn't. That's partly the reason that that series is rather soft. So I gotta be honest with you there. In my honest opinion, steel, Oyster, Rolex. So there's so many choices in that leg of watches there. There are so many great watches that fit that category. I would definitely say things like the Rolex Sub, no date, Sub date, Explorer 2, Explorer 1, Oyster Perpetual. Any of these could make a perfect one watch. Now, I gotta be completely brutal with you there. If you really wanted one watch for life and you wanted a little bit of a show-off flair, I think myself, in my opinion, the two-tone Submariner Bluesy is ideal. Absolutely ideal. I think the two-tone Rolex Submariner, two-tone GMT or two-tone Daytona, either of those would be perfect as a one-watch wristwatch person. One-watch wristwatch person. So that's kind of how I would steer the debate. That's how I'd be going. I would really be saying there, if you want to be a one wristwatch person, I would be going Rolex, steel, Oyster, and the proviso is you could go two-tone if you really wanted to. I think those three watches, the GMT, the Submariner, and the Daytona, those three two-tone, any of those would be the perfect wristwatch watches to have there. They're absolutely perfect. And that's the whole thing. When you're a wristwatch person, you gotta go with the choices that are sensible. So I gotta tell you honestly there, you know, you might have a different choice as one watch, but I think that would be the way to go. One Rolex, and that's my opinion on the one wristwatch collection. Can it be done? Look, there's many advantages to having one wristwatch, but it's something you've got to work out yourself. You've really got to work this out yourself and see how you feel about it. I'm very, very hesitant to say yes or no. You got to do it this way or do it that way. I think you've got to be sensible about things. But personally, if I had to be one wristwatch person, from all the experience I've had in it, I reckon you couldn't do too bad having a steel Rolex Oyster, some sort of steel Rolex Oyster, and if you wanted to be a little bit fancy, one of the two-tone sports Rolexes. I'm Archie Luxury. Tell me what you guys think of that.